What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to Thursday night's late night agenda. I do apologise about being a couple of minutes late today, but it's been a tremendously busy day. I filmed the interview with Paul Tompkins of the Tompkins Times earlier on this afternoon. That's going to be available on the channel at some point next week. We talk about Paul's latest book, Pearce, which talks about last year's season and the road to that tremendous Premier League title. So look, keep an eye out for that one. We're going to be giving away 3 copies of Paul's book as well, which is very generous of him to give us the giveaway to our viewers. So again, keep an eye out on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, because we're going to be giving one away on each platform there. I hope that you're all well, ladies and gentlemen. Look, the Everton preview, I'm recording that as soon as this stream is over, so that'll be going up either later on tonight or first thing tomorrow. I'll be walking you through my predicted 11, my score predictions and stuff like that as well. But even pushing all of that stuff aside, there's still a load of stuff for us to go through tonight. It's just getting, you think the transfer window closes and things are going to get quiet? Nope, never the case, folks, never the case. Hello to everyone in the chat, by the way. I see it's starting to fill up, which is lovely. Wrong set, Connor said, yeah, there you go. Do you know what I mean? There we are. There, that's the studio. Do you know what I mean? There, we changed it around. The right one. That's the interview. There you go. Welcome, Craig. You're awake now. Do you know what I mean? I'd like to blame Connor on that one, but I can't. This is completely down to me, and I have to switch up studio. So there you go. What have we got? Howdy. Yeah, look, wrong studio. Do you know what I mean? This is how busy I've been today. I didn't even notice. I'm too busy talking to the camera. Didn't even notice I had the wrong studio. Look, ladies and gentlemen, let me start out by giving you guys what I think is a little bit of good news. You might remember me talking about an offer that was presented to me with regards to working abroad in media. After 3 days of intensive conversations through myself, my wife and my family, we've decided that we're going to stay put. We're going to turn down the offer and we're going to roll the dice with Anfield agenda. I mean, a lot played into our thinking on this one. Our daughter's 18 months left in school before she sits her final exams. We just felt it wasn't right to uproot her during this, in the midst of a global pandemic, and move to a new country and take her over schooling at such an important time. So we're staying put. My wife said to me, back yourself and back Connor and see where Anfield agenda goes. So as always, you guys have my good lady wife to thank for everything usually. But yeah, that's the good news anyway. So we will be staying put. Anfield agenda is going nowhere. I've formally sent the email to say no to the job opportunity. So yeah, you're stuck with me, I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen. You're stuck with Connor as well. And look, let's have a little chat around Diogo Jota. In phenomenal form, put in a great performance for Portugal last night, scored 2 and set one up in their 3-0 victory over Sweden. After the game, Diogo Jota was interviewed on Portuguese television and he spoke about his move to Liverpool, and this is what he had to say. It's the highest moment of my career. Moving to Liverpool was a big step forward. Now I started again for the national team, and my goal is to assert myself more and more as an option. And he put in a great performance, as I said, thoroughly convincing me and any other doubters that are out there. And look, it was one of those names. As soon as we heard that Diogo Jota was coming to the club, it just, you knew it was going to be a good fit. It was a no-brainer to me. So absolutely delighted. He's in great form. Going to be giving the gaffer a lot to think about, obviously, ahead of the Merseyside derby on Saturday. So I'd love to know your thoughts on Diogo Jota and where you think he may fit into this Liverpool setup. Is he going to be pushing Bobby Firmino? Will he be pushing Sadio Mane perhaps for a spot out on the left-hand side? But I suppose one of the good things about Diogo Jota is his versatility, and you probably hear me say that a lot about Jurgen Klopp's players, but this dude does look like the real deal. So congratulations to him on a great performance last night. 2 goals and an assist as well. Yeah, brilliant. Delighted for him, and long may his good form continue. Right, let me get through some more of your comments before we move on to talk about Jack Butland. We're going to talk about stories linking Liverpool to forwards and loads of stuff. As always, folks, it's going to be busy. What have you got? Craig Holden, Sabrina Holden, thank you, said Joanne Fisher. All the best with the family, said Raj, thank you. But look, what I want to say as well is, just quickly to go back to that for a second, is the amount of messages and emails and comments that I received just wishing us the best with whatever decision we made. It was lovely, and it really does show me what I already knew, that you guys genuinely have the whole community's best interests at heart. So to everyone that took the time to message me and comment, thank you very much. It means the world to me, and it really did help shape the decision, along with my wife who was reading them as well. So thank you, and of course thank you to my family, my wife, and to Connor as well, because this was a difficult time for Connor because everything was on the line there as well, and that also of course played into our thinking, because Connor and I are a team. I don't want to go and uproot anywhere without Connor being part of it. So there you go, you're stuck with us anyway. Right, what else have we got? The £62 million forward. You guys, you You're just so greedy. So greedy. I'm only joking. Yeah, look, we'll go to the £62 million striker, or forward, I should say, excuse me. But all good things come to those who wait, so let's go through and see what else has been happening. Danny Murphy thinks that Jurgen Klopp should take a chance on Jack Butland and make a move before tomorrow's transfer window shuts closed. The domestic transfer window, I should say. Speaking to the Football Index podcast about the subject, this is what Danny Murphy had to say. I like the thought of Jack Butland joining Liverpool. He's trying to find himself again after a really good start to his career, which has been spoken about as potentially England's first choice goalkeeper. Unfortunately for him, he's fallen by the way a little bit, with Stoke being relegated from the Premier League. This might be a tremendous opportunity for him to go to a wonderful club, learn from a brilliant goalkeeper, play some games and start again. That makes sense to me. I think signing Jack Butland would be a clever bit of business. It doesn't look like we're bringing in any goalkeeper, by the way, folks, as things stand. We will talk about a couple of potentials before tomorrow, but the Jack Butland thing, the Ben Foster thing, it looks like it's between Adrian and Kelleher. That's the way things are looking, and whether we look to resolve the goalkeeper situation long term and bring in somebody to back up Alisson or to challenge Alisson, maybe we'll see that in January or next summer, but that's where we are anyway. We've seen different people give their opinions on this. We've seen some people think we should look at Ben Foster, some people think we should go in for Jack Butland, and others, of course, think that we should just stick with what we have. Give us the goods, Craig, said SDB. I love it. Not even trying to pretend, just straight to the point. Right, I won't keep you guys any longer. Let's get straight to the point. So, Mundo Deportivo have had one of their journalists come out and say that Reds manager Jurgen Klopp wants to bring Wolves winger Adama Traore to Anfield. The journalist claims that Wolves would want something around the €70 million or £62 million mark for the Spanish international. I spoke to you guys a while ago, you might remember this, about the fact that George Mendes, who represents a number of footballers at Wolves Football Club, he's got his feet very much under the table at Wolves, and I said to you guys before that he was trying to negotiate a lower fee to get Adama Traore away from Wolves during the last transfer window. Now obviously that didn't come to fruition, and I don't know if Wolves, the stance may soften in January or perhaps next summer. I think a lot could depend as well on Adama's performance this season for Wolves. But George Mendes' guessed a few agency was also involved in the deals that brought Fabinho and Diogo Jota to Liverpool. And it's important to point that out because it shows there's a good line of communication there. And when you're looking at transfer gossip and rumours, you try to piece together all these things to see if there's actually any real interest in the player, or is there any relationship already between Liverpool and the player's agent or the selling club. And there is in this sense. And we've heard Jurgen Klopp speak glowingly about Adama Traore before, called him unplayable on his day. But do we need Adama Traore, or is this somebody that we'd be looking at potentially instead of a Jadon Sancho? Now, Kylian Mbappe, who we'll come on to later on, with a bit of bad news for you guys on that one, unfortunately. Well, at least media bad news, or put out there that there's bad news for Liverpool and Real Madrid, many other suited for Mbappe. But sticking to Adama Traore, I'm still on the fence about Adama, I'm not going to lie. I mean, the ability is there, I won't deny that. As Klopp said, when he's on his day and when he's at it, he's unplayable. But I've yet to see a level of consistency from Adama that I think would justify him coming to Liverpool Football Club. Again, very difficult to talk about this because there's clearly a talent there. And £62 million at a price point is, it's a good chunk less. I would imagine Liverpool would knock that fee down a few quid. Let's say you got Adama for £55 million, something along those lines. Then you have to start comparing that to, well, should we have gone out there maybe and tried to get Jadon Sancho? Because we all know Jadon Sancho is going to be available next summer. Borussia Dortmund have come out and said there's absolutely no way in God's green earth that he's leaving in January. He's there for the season. But then again, all of this leads to the conversation of, if we're looking at these players, who's going to move on? Who leaves? Will it be one of the front three? Would it be somebody like Divock Origi? I do believe that there is interest there in Adama Traore. I do. And again, talking about George Mendes and his guest a few agency, we've already done business with him for Fabinho and Diogo Jota. Both deals were kept very quiet. Both deals were done very well, actually. No leaks to the media about either of those deals. Which is very rare in this day with regards to transfers. And I don't think that there's any coincidence that it was very quiet around the whole Fabinho thing and Diogo Jota, that it just happened all of a sudden. So, again, one to keep an eye on here, folks. But I want to know what you think. Would you be happy if that was the big, say, marquee signing next summer? There was no Jadon Sancho or no looking at Kylian Mbappe or Houssem Aouar or anything like that. If it was Adama Traore, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section, because honestly, I'm on the fence on this one. I think seeing another season of him in the Premier League, if he shows the type of form that he did last year, then I can absolutely understand it. I can totally understand as well that Klopp looks at this guy maybe the same way he looked at Sadio Mane and seen the potential, and thinks that himself, Pep Linders and the rest of the coaching staff could unleash that potential to its fullest. That's not to downplay the impact and the great footballing education he's getting at Wolves under Nuno, but, you know, Klopp, I think, is a different level of manager. So, again, love to know your thoughts on it, folks. No, there's better waste of money, said Garth. What have we got? I think under Klopp it would work, said Pat Moynihan. When does the squad registration for the game against Everton? Surely Butland wouldn't be able to play even if we get it tomorrow. I'd imagine that closes 12 p.m. Friday. I think registration's usually around that, but don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% certain. Traore looks far too raw, said Tyler. That's my thinking of it as well, mate. But we have been known to unearth gems to some extent, so we could be looking at maybe Adama Traore in 18 months' time as a £100 million player if he was to come to Liverpool, but maybe not. So it is a genuine head scratcher for me on this one. I'm totally on the fence on it. I can see both sides of the conversation. I can see people who would absolutely think it's a bargain, but I can also understand those who are cautious about it because he hasn't delivered enough for me to command that type of a fee yet. We're signing a 17-year-old. That's already done, mate. We've already signed Pitaluga. He's at the football club. Came in from Fluminense. As you said, he was recommended by Alisson and his brother. Obviously, John Achterberg looked at him as well. Intensive scouting was done, and Pitaluga's been brought to the club. But as you rightly pointed out as well, still 17 years of age, so not going to be in the team tomorrow. Not a chance. It would be blow my mind if that was the case. If we sign Sancho, who do you drop? Said Lucas. Well, nobody, I suppose, is the answer, mate, because we need rotation, and I never look at it that when we bring in a player, it's to drop somebody else. You need two players in every position, so as it stands right now, we've got our front three, if we're to all agree that they're right now Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, Mohamed Salah. Then you've got Diogo Jota and Takumi Minamino, who are there to put pressure on them. Then in around the fringes of that, you have Shaqiri, you have young Harvey Elliott, who's still making his way, of course, as well. You've got Divock Origi at the club. I don't see Divock Origi working out long term. I think if the right offer comes in down the line, Divock Origi will move on, and maybe that frees up the squad place. Also have to keep an eye on how Raheem Brewster develops, of course. His move to Sheffield United went through, but we all know Liverpool do have that buyback clause, so it is really interesting to think about what might happen. And we touched on this subject in the interview earlier on with Paul Tompkins as well, where he believes that the likes of Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino have at least 2 years left at Liverpool in their prime. And when you're talking about maybe moving one of them on, you want to be doing it at the right time, where they're just at the peak and just about to drop down. And, you know, that's a gift that some managers have, been able to just realise a player's on the wane a little bit and moving them on. But it's going to be a tough one because, you know, as you pointed out, not who you drop, but even to come in and challenge. There's 5 absolute superstars there as far as I'm concerned in Roberto Firmino, Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah, Diogo Jota and Takumi Minamino, who I think will end up being one of the absolute bargains of the last 5 or 10 years in the Premier League for 7.25 million quid. Loads more of your comments to go through though. Craig, do you think Thiago starts in the derby? Said Scotty. You're going to have to wait for the preview for that one, my friend. That's going to be coming up later on tonight, so keep an eye out for it. But yeah, I do, mate. Look, be fair, yeah, I do think he starts. I'd rather have Adrian than Pickford in goal, said Brian Morrissey. Yeah, well, we touched on this as well. As much as we're here complaining about the potential of Liverpool's goalkeeper situation, you look up the other end of Goodison Park and Jordan Pickford's not exactly going through a great spell, so we should be worrying about their goalkeeper just as much. We should be looking to put balls right in on top of him, taking shots from distance, trying to destabilise him in every way that we can. Closing them down, obviously, because we know Pickford can be caught out a couple of times with his clearances, so I fully expect a press from the front three as well every time the ball's with Pickford at his feet to try and close him down and force him into a mistake. What else we got? Yeah, crazy no sub players either. I don't know what the hell that's about. Someone's just oh sorry, different, sorry. Craig, your thoughts on Salah as a centre forward, Sancho right wing, Firmino attacking mid, Mane left wing, said Yusuf. I like the idea of Mohamed Salah playing through the centre. I've spoke about that before. It was actually one of the things that I suggested we could do if Firmino's lack of goal scoring continued. There's so much that Bobby Firmino brings to the team that, doesn't include goals, but when you're playing through the centre like that, you've got to expect a goal. So yeah, I absolutely believe that Mohamed Salah could play through the centre, no problem whatsoever. If we play Adrian, he'll definitely make mistakes. Well, nobody knows that. Whatever happens on Saturday with the goalkeeping situation, if we play Adrian, you're right, there's going to be nervousness right from the get-go. If we play Queefy Kelleher, there could well be nervousness as well, but for a whole different reason, because of the unknown, because we don't know what to expect from Queefy Kelleher on such a big stage. I mean, I've every faith in the young man. I think he'd come in and do a fine job. But you're right, it is kind of... there's no perfect answer, I don't think, for the derby on Saturday from the goalkeeping situation. Latest on Harry Wilson, I'm a Swansea fan, said Kieran. Thank you, Kieran. So there's been links, Derby County with the club all day that seem to be the most likely to sign Harry Wilson, but then there was an offer came in from Swansea to take him on loan. That offer was rebuffed, which is interesting because with Cooper there at Swansea and the good record that he had with Ryan Brewster and the good relationship he obviously has with Liverpool and the coaching staff, I wouldn't rule it out yet, but as things have stood, Derby County, Nottingham Forest, Swansea, a lot of clubs interested in Harry Wilson on loan before that deadline tomorrow, and it'll be interesting to see if he does make the move. I hope that he does from a personal perspective for him, because I want him to be playing football, not to be just sitting around, because if he's at Liverpool, he's not going to get much game time, let's be quite honest about this. So disrespectful to Firmino. To me, I'm Bobby Firmino's biggest fan, mate, so to accuse me of being disrespectful to Bobby Firmino, my answer to you is go fuck yourself, because I am anything but disrespectful to Bobby Firmino. I am Bobby Firmino's biggest fan, mate, and I've been accused on here many times of covering up for Roberto Firmino, but you can criticise a player without being disrespectful. If you're one of these fans that thinks nobody can do wrong, then I pity you, because every player is there to be praised when they do things right, and they're there to be critiqued when they do things wrong. Our job is to support the football club, not to blow smoke up a player's arse, mate. That's the way I look at it anyway. Players playing well, he deserves that credit. If a player's putting in some questionable performances, then we have every right as supporters to come on here and question that. Now, the reason I like doing that in this way is we're doing it in an environment when we're all together. We're not on Twitter tagging the player in it and telling him to leave our club. Why would you? And nobody wants Bobby Firmino to leave the club. At least nobody rational wants Bobby Firmino to leave the club. But we can't just turn our back on the fact that he is going through a bit of a drought in front of goal. That can't be just left there unquestioned. Especially when we have players like Diogo Jota, Takumi Minamino chomping at the bit, really wanting to come in and prove what they can do. They have to be given that opportunity at times. You need to know that somebody's breathing down your neck and wants to take that shirt. So, I don't know. I don't think I've been in any way disrespectful to Roberto Firmino, mate. I really don't. Captain Clun said 6 times I would start Jota in place of Bobby. For me, if it wasn't a derby, I could understand that, but I'll go into it when I do the preview, and I've spoken about it on the stream before. To me, it's just a game that's suited to Bobby Firmino with regards to the press and defending from the front, helping to protect our high line. I just think it's tailor-made for Bobby Firmino, I really do. What about the performance of Gomez? Look, I'll let you guys in on it. In my predicted 11, Gomez doesn't make the starting 11. He's had a bit of a shaky time. He's done some really good stuff, Joe Gomez, but he has had a couple of iffy performances as well. And it's important that we remember that with regards to centre-backs, Joe Gomez is still relatively young here, so he certainly isn't the finished product. On his day, Joe Gomez, absolutely fantastic, up there with the best of them. But like anybody else who's developing and still learning his trade, he will make mistakes from time to time, and it's up to the likes of Alisson, Virgil van Dijk and that to help talk him through these situations, which they have done, of course. But yeah, I would agree that Gomez, again, if we're looking to go on form here, probably doesn't deserve to start the derby. But that doesn't mean he's not going to play a huge part in other games and throughout the season. Again, this is just us talking as fans, giving opinions on what we've seen so far. I like Jota, but we need a normal front three. Really interestingly, and I don't know if this has changed, but we haven't started the front three in a derby under Klopp. We haven't started Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, Mohamed Salah under Jurgen Klopp in a Merseyside derby that I'm aware of since Klopp's been at the club. So that's really odd. Through different reasoning, injuries and stuff like that. Like, it's not because Klopp just hasn't picked them. But we also have to remember that there's a lot of players who've travelled a lot during this international break. Roberto Firmino, as an example, will only be getting back, I think, in the early hours of tomorrow morning. So that has to be taken into account as well, where you've got people like Mohamed Salah, for instance. Egypt weren't on international duty, so Salah's been at Melwood throughout the entire international break. We have Sadio Mane back. That's brilliant. Thiago. So they've all been training together as well, which could play into Klopp's decision making here. What else is there? Would you put Gomez behind fit Matip again? No. To me, Joe Gomez is a better defender than Joe Matip. That's my take on it, particularly alongside Virgil van Dijk. And I don't know if Joe Matip will be available to start this early after coming back training. But again, I'll talk you through all this when I go through my predicted 11 a little bit later on. But I've got more transfer news, by the way, that I didn't get a chance to speak about. So the Mail believe that Liverpool could potentially make a move for Bournemouth's Welsh international David Brooks before tomorrow's deadline. They also go on to say that Manchester United, Leicester, Spurs and Everton are also interested in Brooks. It's believed Bournemouth want to recoup around £40 million from any potential sale of David Brooks. So I can't see at that price point how Liverpool are going to be in the conversation for him. He's not a player that I've watched too much, if I'm being honest about it, but he's not a player that I remember really lighting things up either. I can't see Liverpool being in that conversation for Brooks for 40 million quid tomorrow. I just can't see how that's true in any way, shape or form. Whether maybe United, Leicester, Spurs or somebody else go in there and try and get a deal done, that remains to be seen. But for us, I think I can't see it happening. Brooks 40 million just doesn't make any sense to me. Still got stuff to talk about Kylian Mbappe later on, and I want to talk about maybe getting fans back inside the stadium as well, ladies and gentlemen. So there's a lot of stuff to get through on tonight's stream, so please do stick with us. Connor said, Fabinho and Firmino trained today. They played for Brazil in the early hours of Wednesday morning. Dedication. Wow, I thought they were only getting back tomorrow morning. Well, if Bobby's got a bit of training in, then absolutely, yeah. That makes more sense. Bobby will definitely be playing, so cheers for that update, Connor. What else we got? I don't want Brooks as a United fan, said Katie. I don't know too much about David Brooks. I don't obviously watch a lot of Wales international football, being Irish, and I haven't watched too much of Bournemouth other than when we played against them. But again, he's not somebody that's ever stood out to me as being a £40 million player, so, we'll wait and see what happens. Brooks is decent, and yes, Leicester seem to be linked to him a lot, said Lee Chappie. How are you, Lee, by the way? I seen you in the chat earlier on, mate. Sorry, I meant to get to one of your comments, but I kept being distracted. I'll be interested to see, Lee, if Leicester or anybody else perhaps try and get a deal done before the the domestic window shuts tomorrow. Freddie Mercury said, sorry, but Liverpool is nothing without Sadio Mane, Henderson, Thiago, Alisson. You're just going to forget about Virgil van Dijk there as well, mate, the world's greatest defender. If you're going to come in and spout shite, mate, at least try and make it somewhat coherent. That's like saying, sorry, but Paris Saint-Germain are nothing without Neymar, without Kylian Mbappe. Yeah, any club without their greatest players, mate, probably aren't going to be any great shake. But, you're talking absolute waffle to come in and say, oh, Liverpool without Jurgen Klopp, the 6 European Cups they have, the 19 league titles that they have, without all of that, the history, Shankly, Paisley, the stadium, all the fans, everybody that goes there on a match day, how green the grass is, the roundness of the football, and the absolutely delicious steak and kidney pies that they say. Without all of that stuff, Liverpool would be nothing. Nothing. It's just the type of nonsense that you're coming out with, mate. Just relax. So what I mean, and nobody wants to listen to that type of waffle. How do you see Liverpool after Klopp leaves? I don't even want to think that far ahead. Again, something we interestingly touched on in the Paul Tompkins interview. Pep Linders cannot be ruled out. That's one thing I will say about any potential future without Klopp. But we did get a little sneak preview from the manager that maybe he could look to extend past 2024. But what he has said is when he does leave Liverpool, he'll be taking a year out of the game. So again, let's wait and see. Yes, Far Oil's in the chat. I've been looking out for you, buddy. I meant to give you a message to see if you're alright. That's like saying Gone with the Wind is nothing without Vivian Lee, Clark Gable, Olivia de Havilland and 2 million people that went to the movie. Exactly, it's just nonsense, Dave. You're right. You're a Liverpool fan, but you were talking about the Villa match. There you go. That makes a bit more sense, mate. Sorry, that makes a bit more sense. Yes, this is why sometimes when I pick out comments, I miss the first part of the conversation. But yeah, I wouldn't say we're nothing without them, but you can certainly see that, especially Thiago, because we don't know how Thiago's going to impact the squad yet. But you're right, yeah, without having Jordan Henderson there and Alisson there, you do see some glaring holes in this Liverpool team. But we do have them as players, so I suppose we do have that to look forward to. Is Thiago back? Yes, he is back, mate, which is brilliant. Do I want Gerrard to take over? Not now, no. I mean, he has to earn it. Someday, yes, of course. As Liverpool fans, we want Steven Gerrard to eventually come back and manage the club, but not because he's Steven Gerrard, because he's earned the right to come back and manage the club. You know, that type of stuff needs to go out the window. It has to be the right man for the job. And coming in after Jurgen Klopp, whomever that might be, they're going to be some big-ass shoes to fill. So, yes, of course, I'd love Stevie G to come and manage Liverpool, but at the right time, when he's got more experience and managed at a higher level than Rangers and the Europa League, with all due respect. What else we got? VVD will get man of the match, said Declan. What else we got? If he comes back and doesn't win anything, who's Steven Gerrard? Again, why bother even looking towards that? It's a long, long, long way down the line. Anybody want to have a little chat around Kylian Mbappe, folks? Because there's a story that came out today that absolutely blew my mind about Kylian Mbappe. You may have read this in the media already. If you haven't, let me just take a second to take you through it. So another story doing the rounds today is that Juventus are somehow putting together a €400 million package to try and tempt PSG into selling Kylian Mbappe. Now, I'm genuinely confused here because, and I'm happy to be pulled up on this if I'm wrong, to the best of my knowledge, at the end of this season, Kylian Mbappe will have 1 year left on his Paris Saint-Germain contract. Now, again, if I'm wrong on that, I apologise. But the reason I bring that fact up is, why on earth would you look to spend a world record €400 million on a player with 1 year left on his contract? That does not make any sense to me in any way, shape or form, and I can't understand from a business perspective how Juventus would think that makes sense. So is this story complete bullshit? Is this story based in some form of, I don't know, public, I won't say propaganda for Juventus, but maybe some positive spin from the Juventus point of view, linking them with players like Kylian Mbappe? Obviously, right now they've got Cristiano Ronaldo there. And I'm sure that they would love Kylian Mbappe, but the numbers to me just don't make sense. Why would you go out and drop €400 million on a player with 1 year left on his contract? It just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. When I'd seen figures mentioned around Kylian Mbappe with that 1 year left, about £120 million was the figures that I was seeing thrown around when Real Madrid and that were apparently interested. This €400 million thing just makes no sense to me whatsoever. No, it doesn't include the wages, by the way, Connor, because like you, my gut instinct was when the €400 million was mentioned, I was thinking, well, that must be his package over the course of the contract, including his wages and all that stuff. But no, they just say a £400 million or €400 million offer to Paris Saint-Germain to try and tempt them to sell Kylian Mbappe, which is just staggering to me. I don't understand that, which is why I've always said to you, we're never realistically going to be in the conversation around Kylian Mbappe, because you're going to see these absolutely astronomical numbers thrown out there that we just simply won't pay, and that's before you even look at the guy's wages, which would be, I would guess, north of 500 grand a week. So as much as we'd all love a little bit of Kylian Mbappe, at the type of prices that we're talking about there, you can forget about Liverpool ever being in that conversation. Liam said the old lady has lost the plot. It looks that way, Liam. Yeah, if they're talking about that type of money. I'd also like to know how the hell they got that type of money together, because aren't Juventus and a lot of Italian clubs, like many football clubs around the world right now, struggling? Didn't they ask their players to take a pretty hefty wage cut as well, if my memory's correct? So will it really be that appealing to those players who've taken that wage cut and taken the hardship on board to suddenly see the club go out there and spend €400 million on Kylian Mbappe? I mean, we'd already seen the reaction, I suppose, from our own fans with the whole furlough stuff and the Timo Werner situation. Probably one of the main reasons we didn't sign Timo Werner was obviously the timing and the fact that it just wouldn't look great going out and dropping that kind of money and that kind of wages when, you know, we're being asking staff to take cuts and stuff. So, yeah, it just doesn't add up to me. It doesn't make much sense. But anyway, that's the world we live in, isn't it? Just madness. Look, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, by the way, if you're enjoying the stream. Drop a like on the video as well. Lots of interesting stuff coming up on the channel over the next few days. Tonight, you're going to get the preview of the Everton game going live, so keep an eye out for that one. Tomorrow, we'll have a regular late night agenda, and then on Saturday, of course, we're going to have the watch-along of the game against Everton starting. The watch-along will start at 12 p.m. here on YouTube, and then we'll have a post-match show coming up after that one as well. Lots of interesting bits and pieces. What have we got? Mbappe deal is till 2022, so yes, I'm right then. He would have 1 year left at the end of this season. It just doesn't make any sense. Can anybody else maybe see a rationale behind this €400 million talk of him going to Juventus? Just seems stupidity to me if they offered that kind of money. I mean, if you're Paris Saint-Germain, you're going to be sitting there going, okay, well, if we have to lose him, €400 million, that sounds pretty reasonable. Barcelona asking players to take another 30% wage cut, said Brian. Again, you can see the impact there. And Barcelona, we know, have been kind of shopping in the bargain section, for want of a better phrase. Rob, Salmon, welcome. Anfield Agenda FC, mate. Lovely of you to become a member. Thank you very much. If you want to join, like Rob Salmon, and become a member of Anfield Agenda FC, all you have to do is this. All you have to do is click the blue join button. As you can see there, becoming a member of the channel, what you get for your $4.99 a month, you get the Anfield Agenda badge beside your name. Like that says, it's a loyalty badge. It changes colour the longer you're with us. Starts out as bronze, becomes silver, gold, and then eventually red. You also get use of all the custom Anfield Agenda emojis that Connor designed for the channel. You can see them all there on screen now, ranging from Blame Connor to Van Dijk, Salah, Kloppo, and C Senor. Lots of other ones as well. And most importantly to me, you guys get to become a member of the Anfield Agenda Discord group, which is genuinely where we share the innermost secrets of the channel. I told those guys about the decision that we were going to stay on that Anfield Agenda and not take the job opportunity before anybody else. They were the first people that I told, and I continually do that, as does Connor. We break the news first in our Discord group, even if it's stuff that we don't share, doesn't work out to be true. We talk about transfers and stuff. So again, another reason, if you do want to become a member, to click that blue join button. Ric Flair, yeah, I do love a bit of Ric Flair, mate. I love me a bit of a Ric Flair woo. Right, more stuff. So, Football Daily posted earlier on today to say that Parliament will debate the return of fans to stadiums after a petition received 196,000 signatures. That debate will apparently take place on November the 9th. Now, this is where I've got a bit of a bee in my bonnet. So obviously we've seen some mixed messages coming out of the UK. A lot of people rightly confused as to why an indoor event with Arsene Wenger at the London Palladium, which was pretty packed, was allowed to go ahead. Now, the London Palladium have come out and said that they were operating at a 50% capacity. To me, from my naked eye, it looked a little bit more than that. There were empty seats, I'm not going to deny that, and there were the odd space between a couple of people here and there. But still, the point still stands. Why is it right now that football teams who have gone out there, particularly in the Premier League, and consulted with the best scientists that there are in the UK, they've tried to find ways to get fans back into the stadium as safely as possible. They want to work with the government and the football advisory and safety groups as well to take this forward. But they're being stonewalled. But yet we see this situation arise, and it's nothing against Arsene Wenger. It just happens to be that it was Arsene Wenger that was at this talk. I'm sure you've seen the pictures of it. Piers Morgan, Gary Lineker, lots of other people on social media talking about that event. So why is it that football fans can't get back inside the stadium at 25% capacity if this is allowed? It's confusing, it's sending out mixed messages, and look, I'm going to be blunt about this. It kind of screams there's one rule for one class of people and another rule for another. That's my take on it. I never get into politics on the stream because I'm not a politically minded person. I don't give a shit about politics, to be honest with you. I don't talk about politics and I don't talk about religion on the channel. But there is a reason behind this. Why should that have gone ahead in London? But yeah, football teams, who I've said, that have consulted some of the best scientists in the world, that are trying to make a way for fans to get back in, even willing to work at a 25% capacity. For instance, last night I was looking at Ireland's game against Finland, and there was people inside the stadium, which was actually quite eerie to watch a game again with people inside the stadium. Now, it wasn't full, there was obviously a reduced capacity, but it was still great to see people back inside the stadium. So why is it that it's unsafe for people to be in a, let's say, semi-outdoor event at a football game, but it's absolutely tickety-boo to have 50% capacity at the London Palladium in an indoor event? I don't get it. It screams hypocrisy to me. And once again, it seems like football fans are the forgotten group in all of this. We're being asked to pay more money for games. This whole £15 pay-per-view stuff is absolute robbery of the highest order. I don't give a shit where the money goes, to be honest with you. If you're already paying for a Sky subscription, you're paying for a BT subscription, you've got your broadband, all that stuff. Maybe you joined Amazon Prime as well to watch the games over Christmas time. This just screams money grab to me again. And the TV companies, of course, are unwilling to move on this. I read an article that suggested that Premier League clubs were quite happy to look at the €10 or £10 model that was being implemented by Championship clubs to watch their games, but television companies were unwilling to move off the £15 price point for the box office games or the pay-per-view games, whatever the hell you want to call them. And look, let's not kid ourselves here. If this comes in, even if they're hiding it behind the whole global pandemic stuff and trying to recoup money, this will be the start. This will be like opening Pandora's box. Once we get this first little go-ahead with pay-per-view games, it won't be too long until we're seeing Liverpool United on pay-per-view, even if you have a Sky Sports subscription. It is ridiculous. It just screams hypocrisy to me. But I want to know your thoughts on it. So let me know in the comment section what you think about it. Let me know if you have a counter argument to this, why you think maybe that event in London was fine to go ahead. I'm going to go in and read some live comments now and see how you guys are all feeling. If pubs can be open as well, I know. It just seems nuts. Let all fans back in, I say. If they have masks on, it should be alright. You can't go that far, mate, at this moment in time. You can't have a full stadium now. It would be just madness. And clubs are trying. Clubs are trying to find ways to do temperature checks and everything that they can do to try and make the return of fans to stadiums as safe as possible. As I'm sure are many other sports as well, trying to do the same thing. Marine Boy said, money, money, money. Yes, must be funny in a rich man's world. Absolutely, mate. It's ridiculous. If other clubs are allowed fans, why can't we? It depends on the country, mate. It's not the club that's been restricted from the fans. It's the country. So right now, there's no fans inside any football grounds at the top tier in England. So it's not just about any club in particular. The pay-per-view thing, it just screens American influence, not going to lie, said Raheem. Yes, Connor sent me something earlier on, actually, on WhatsApp that was interesting. I'm just going to pull up here where it is. Right, so this was obviously something that came from an article. Said watching every Premier League game in the UK works out at about $6,200. Watching every Premier League game in Australia you can get for 139 Australian dollars, and for that $6,200 you could fly to Australia, stay in a Bondi hostel, spend the entire summer on the beach and watch every game on Optus Sport. It is madness. I don't get it. It just screams money grab. When you have the DAZN model and stuff like that in Canada, where people can pay a monthly subscription and get everything, not just football but boxing, MMA and stuff. In the UK and Ireland, again, it just seems like our love of the clubs are being leveraged against us to try and wrangle more money out of our pockets at a time when football shirts are getting more expensive, more kits coming out all the time, training kits, lots of other stuff. You've got your subscription because you can't go to the game, so you're home watching it as well. You can't go to the pubs now and watch it or anything like that either in certain areas because of the lockdown and the restrictions. So in me, I'm going to be blunt about this. This is going to lead a lot more people towards the likes of IPTV and other subscriptions like that, where you can pay for an annual amount. And look, it's illegal. There's no two ways about that, and I don't encourage anybody to do anything illegal in any way, shape or form, but we can't talk about this without giving all sides of the story here. And to me, it does look like that's going to push a lot of people down that route. And in these times of financial uncertainty and hardship, you've got to say you can understand perhaps why it would tempt people down that route. People who would, I'm sure, like to do the right thing, but if you're paying 150, 160 quid a month for Sky and then you're being asked to pay 15 quid for a match, and the first one that Liverpool is going to take place, I think, is the Sheffield United game at the end of this month. That'll be the first one that's due to come out in £15. Madness. Right, what else we got? Sit 3 apart and face, gloves on, would be nice. LFC rotate fans. I think if it is to be a case of fans getting back inside stadiums at any point, you would imagine that the sensible option here would be, whatever the capacity might be, let's work off 25% as a random number. that it will be local fans, and rightly so, for varying reasons. And I absolutely back the fact that it should be local fans that are in first, because you've got less people travelling from different parts of the UK. You've got obviously not people travelling from abroad in, and it's easier to, I suppose, keep track and make sure that people are as safe as possible if they're not travelling long distances and stuff like that. So I would agree that it should be locals that are let back inside stadiums first for safety reasons. Somebody saying IPTV doesn't work, Premier League have blocked it. Want to bet? That's all I'm saying on that one. I disagree with you. I'm going to be very careful about what I say, but I disagree with you. Goldbridge is in the Jesus. How are we, Mark? Marking on his That's Football account. Lovely to see you, buddy. Hope that you're well. Mark, if you're still watching, by the way, I want to ask you a question. I was talking to Connor earlier on, and I just realised that the Ajax Champions League game is creeping up on us, and we're going to be playing Ajax on Wednesday, and obviously you guys are Paris Saint-Germain on the Tuesday night. Did that sneak up on anybody else? The reason that I say this is I'd agreed to do a Zoom call with a South African Liverpool supporters club before the Ajax game, and I agreed this last week, and I genuinely thought it was much further away, and then I just looked at the fixtures for the week ahead, and I just got, oh my god, we've got the Ajax game, and I've got that lovely call to look forward to with the supporters in South Africa. Madness. I'd like to know if it snuck up on anybody else, by the way. Fahim said, honestly, if this continues, I wouldn't be surprised if football fans riot soon. I don't encourage anybody to take up any violence, mate, in any way, shape or form, but you know, I can absolutely see people rightly being pissed off about this and up in arms over the money they're being asked to spend. Bernadette said, Sky and Virgin won a ruling in the High Court in the summer to block football on IPTV, but the tech geeks will always find a way around it. Yeah, look, obviously I have to be very careful about how I word this, but for what I've been led to believe, it still works. I agree, Craig. First half Firmino plays, second half Jota plays if Bobby's not up to scratch, said Raj. Yeah, look, again, I'm going to go through a full derby preview. I'm recording that as soon as this stream ends, so keep an eye out for it. That'll be out soon. Craig, isn't it cheaper to pay for Liverpool membership and get access to LFC to watch our Liverpool games? You can't watch them live though. So what happens is, let's say we play Everton 12:30 on Saturday. That game will be available to watch on LFC TV from midnight of that night. So yes, Yusuf, to some extent, mate, you will get to see the games, but not live, which is what we all want. We want to react to them in real time, buddy. Dara said, have I been blocked? Well, no, mate. I can see your comment there, and I hope nobody blocked Dara. If they did, it must have been a mistake. But you're back there anyway, buddy. Don't the clubs have to pay the TV companies too? Absolutely. They do have to pay back money to television companies, which, you know, we've spoken about on the stream before. I think it equates to about 11 million a club, if my memory is correct. But at the same time, the clubs aren't getting any gate revenues now. So I just don't understand it. It just seems like a money grab to me, this £15 stuff. And the price point as well. £15 is ridiculously expensive. As pointed out, Championship clubs have been able to do it for a tenner. Why can't Premier League clubs do it for a tenner? It's the same sport. The cameras are already going to be inside the games, by the way. So it's not like they're going to have to rely on getting extra cameramen and that around. There are foreign TV companies like beIN Sport, DAZN and stuff who already have the feeds for the game out there. So you could use the same feeds. What have we got? Snuck up on me, mate. Just realised when you mentioned that Ajax also demonstrate would be okay. I don't know what that means, Tariq. Sorry, mate. What's this? Hexboom said a bit of confidence thing with Bobby. Played well for Brazil. Looked happy. Yeah, Bobby will come through this. Don't worry about that. Bobby Firmino does not lack confidence. That's one thing we know about our beautiful Brazilian karate kicking genius. He's not short of confidence, Bobby. Is it confirmed that Naby is tested false? All I can say, Christian, is there has been no confirmation from Keita or otherwise, and he's been back training, I believe, that anything is wrong. Now, like always, I've always said on the channel, I don't talk about people's medical records unless they come out publicly and talk about it themselves, because that stuff is confidential. There was a lot of false stuff put out there on this international break. But there's also been a lot of players who have come back to their clubs. I think Celtic have 4 or 5 people who they're going to be without now because of international duty, and you know where I'm going with this. Again, I'm trying to be careful about what I say because I don't want the stream to be demonetised. David O'Connell said, don't like the 15, don't pay it. Yeah, that's one attitude you could have, mate, if you want fans to be fucked for the rest of time and absolutely just go with that attitude. But my point is that I think as football fans at times, we need to look at the bigger picture. So, for instance, there's one game for Liverpool fans coming up in October, but I think there's other clubs that have 3 games that are going to be on pay-per-view in October, and their fans are going to have to be asked to pay 45 quid that month on top of their Sky bill. So you can come in and say it's 15 quid, pay it or don't pay it, and it's a blunt point, and it's a point that makes sense. But at the end of the day, it's a gateway. It's a gateway to opening up other monetising opportunities for television companies to fleece football fans. And I want football fans to be able to watch the games, mate. It's a working man's game. It's a working woman's game. It's a working class game. And it shouldn't be taken away from the people. You want the sport to remain at the top. You want youngsters to be inspired to go and play it. Well, the youngsters are going to have to be able to watch the fucking games. If the youngsters aren't going to be able to watch the games, they're not going to be inspired to be the next Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane. They're going to go and watch other sports. They're going to fall in love with cricket. They're going to fall in love with rugby. They're going to fall in love with other sports that they're able to see on the television. So your answer is somewhat short-minded, mate. And I think, as I've said, it's £15 now, but this will be the start of it all as far as I'm concerned. And I think as football fans, we need to come together at times, push our rivalries for clubs aside, and look at the bigger picture. And this is one of those, like, I'm in a position that I can probably afford to pay the 15 quid. I won't pay it because it's ridiculous, but I could probably afford to do it. And yeah, I could probably afford to do a couple of them a month. It doesn't mean it's right though, does it? It doesn't mean it's right. We can't all just bend over and allow the television companies to have their way. We have to have a bit of fight in us, and we have to stick together as fans at times. Otherwise, nothing will get accomplished, and we'll just be at a point where none of us are able to afford to go to a game, buy a shirt, watch it on television, because it'll just become astronomical. We'll get to a point where maybe all games are getting pay-per-view. How would you feel if every Liverpool United game was pay-per-view, every Arsenal United game was pay-per-view, Man City Spurs pay-per-view? And then you've got a Sky Sports subscription on top of it. I mean, ideally, the model seems to be that we move towards a Netflix-style subscription service where the Premier League and the next round, the television rights, just sell the rights themselves, and you pay one monthly fee and you get to watch every Premier League game that you want to watch. That's where the way I think most football fans would like to see this go. And yes, Sky and BT have done a lot to improve the Premier League and make it the top league in the world, and you can't just brush those two aside without giving them recognition for what they've done. But every year we're getting less and less games. We're paying more and more subscription fees. We're being given all these extra little nonsense sports that none of us give a shit about and told that our package is getting bigger, but it's really getting smaller. We're seeing the likes of Amazon now come in as well, getting television rights for Premier League games. BT have come in and got television rights for Premier League games. It's only going to get worse. So don't be short-sighted and think it's only £15 pay it. We have to stand up to this, because if this gets in now, they're not going to reverse it, mate. It's only going to get worse. Anyway, welcome Tony Camartin to Anfield Agenda FC, the newest member. Very pleased to have you with us, Tony. If you're looking for the Discord group, buddy, have a look in the community tab on the Anfield Agenda YouTube channel. If you're a member, then the link will be there, which you are, of course, to come and join the Discord group. And also, don't forget to have fun with those emojis, buddy. But mostly, thank you, Tony, for joining. And look at that, as always, all of our subscribers welcoming Tony into the family. And that's what it is on here on Anfield Agenda. It is a family. Brian said, Sean Dyche coming out today saying he doesn't see a problem with it. The pay-per-view, a week after saying the Premier League shouldn't help out the EFL. Brian thinks he's a bit of a prick. There are people who will think that the £15 is okay. And our job's not to shout them down and tell them that they're all arseholes. And I'm not saying that that's what Brian did here, by the way. I think a conversation is what needs to be had. An open and frank conversation between the Premier League, between football fan groups, between the television companies. I mean, let's be big about it. Let's be adult about this. A conversation is what needs to be had. But, you know, what I said before, if this continues, it's only going to go one way. It's only going to lead to people going the route. Like the jerseys, as an example. So, Liverpool this year teamed up with Nike, and Nike are now making Liverpool shirts. The shirts became a little bit more expensive than the New Balance ones. Not because Nike were trying to rip off Liverpool fans or anything, that's just the price of the shirts. So this year we had 3 new kits come out, 3 new training kits, the European stuff, all this other stuff that came out as well, getting more and more expensive each year. As I said, your television subscription's not getting any cheaper. I don't know about other people, but throughout the break of football, I continue to pay my full Sky Sports premium because I wanted to do my little part and try and help out in some way. Sky did give the option to people to take away their sports at the minute or stop paying for the sports until it came back, and then they would switch it back on. I didn't take up that option because, again, as I said, I wanted to just try and do my little tiny bit during the time, because maybe naively I thought, well, maybe this is hurting Sky a little bit as well. So I think there just needs to be a middle ground. That's basically what I'm saying here. What have we got? He can be very rude if he doesn't agree. I don't know if you're talking to me there, Graham, or if that's aimed at somebody else, mate. I don't know if I missed the first part. No, it is aimed at me. Craig, you're not always right. People can have a voice. And at what point, Graham, did I say that people couldn't have a voice, mate? I mean, come on. Give me a fair answer here. Have I not just said I see both sides of all these arguments? But at the end of the day, mate, I'm giving my view, and you're perfectly entitled to your view. I don't remember shouting anybody down and calling them a moron or anything on here. So, Graham, if you're going to have a pop at me, mate, at least make it for a reason, because I don't think I've done anything wrong. And also, Graham, if you don't like it, mate, you know where the door is. Nobody's asked you to be here, pal. If you don't feel happy or comfortable being here, sorry to hear that, mate, but the door is there. Feel free to make use of it, because I'm not going to pander down to you, mate. I'm here to give my opinion. If you don't like it, give your own opinion. That is absolutely fair enough, mate, but it is my channel at the end of the day. After all, it is my opinion that I'm here giving. So, yeah, if you don't like it, you know what to do. What else we got? Haaland joined Liverpool. I don't think that's going to happen, mate. He did speak about the fact that it was a dream come true, actually, that he played at Anfield with Wolfsburg. Look, another one of these opposition fans that only seems to know the name of his club. West Ham. West Ham. Brilliant, mate. Can you go for another word? Could you give us 3 words there, perhaps? West Ham. West Ham. Are we to surmise from this little clues that you're giving us that you may be a Hammers fan, mate? In which case, tell Karen Brady that we all said a massive go fuck yourself, and she can take her null and void nonsense and stick it. That's what we can say to West Ham. So you can West Ham that, mate. What else is there? Craig always lets everybody have their say. I absolutely do. That's the thing. I mean, actually, I would say if I went back maybe a year and a half ago, I was probably far more confrontational than I am these days. I think I've mellowed and chilled out a lot over the past few years. Loving the stream, Craig. You didn't watch along for the derby. 100%, Michael. Yeah, we're going to be starting at 12 o'clock, mate, on the Saturday. Sarah Marshall, thank you for the super chat. Sarah said, hi, when Liverpool played at 3 p.m, I found the game online. Not right, but I will pay will I pay £15? No. It is, as you said, Sarah, it's not right. And even though you did it and you probably felt a little bit of guilt doing it, sometimes, it's just necessity. I mean, different people are in different positions right now, and look, I just think that at a time when we're trying to all pull together and we're trying to find solutions to a load of problems in the world right now, this just seems like a money grab to me, and it doesn't scream, come together, football family, we'll try and solve this stuff. Not to me, anyway. Again, maybe I'm being naive about this. Jota to start over Firmino on Saturday. I can understand the call for that, mate. Oh no, sorry, I'm not allowed to do that. I have to shout you down and call you an idiot, don't I? Because Graham said that I'm just rude to everybody. Nah, mate, look, I can understand the calls for Jota. I can understand the calls for Takumi Minamino. I think Firmino will start because it's the derby, and I'll go through it in the preview, exactly my reasoning for it. The lower leagues are a lot purer, said Mike. Once I see Liverpool retain the league and win another FA Cup, I think I'll give up in the Premier League. I get it. I honestly do get it. I understand why people now are looking maybe to non-league football or lower down the pyramid to try and almost fall back in love with the sport. I absolutely understand it, and I'm a massive advocate and fan for non-league day where people go and give a try out to the local clubs if they haven't done so in a while. I get it. It's brilliant, mate. It's why we all fell in love with the sport. Do you know what I mean? When we were kids, kicking around in the park, playing. I get as much satisfaction from going and watching a Sunday league game as I would from watching the red. Well, maybe not quite as much, but I would feel as fulfilled that I've got a nice football fix from going and watching a local game, a non-league game, I should say, as well. So it's a good point. It's a good point that I fully appreciate and understand. Now, look, obviously I hope that you continue to watch the Reds, mate, and we continue to see you and hear and interact, but I can understand where you're coming from. Somebody else said, love the stream, Craig. Thank you to everyone that sends compliments in like that. Look, I've always said I don't know why people watch, but I appreciate it, and I really do, and I know Connor feels the same. What else is there? FIFA and UEFA are the problem. They need to go in order for football to become working class sport again. I'm not going to disagree with you on that one, mate. FIFA and UEFA definitely are a massive part of this problem. Corruption has been rife within the game. It's just been a money grab for many, many years, mate. I mean, you've seen all the stuff that's gone on with FIFA, UEFA, Blatter, Platini. Stuff that I don't even know half of, to be honest with you. And then you reach further and you go out and you look past the UEFA and you look towards Africa, South America, other football governing bodies. And there's just corruption throughout the game, mate. It's sickening. And you're right, it is supposed to be an everyday person sport. Something that there's no barriers to take up. I mean, let's be honest, to start playing football, I know these days you need memberships to your club and maybe insurance and that, but a pair of boots, a football, kick it against the wall, have some fun. That's how I fell in love with the game anyway, just kicking it around outside with my mates. Right, so a couple of people saying who's the forward. Look, let me just do a quick recap before we finish up for tonight, because I know some people are coming in a little bit late, and I appreciate you bearing with us as we've gone through this stream. Look, good old Mundo Deportivo have once again had one of their journalists come out and say that Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp wants to bring Wolves winger Adama Traore to Anfield. The journalist claimed that Wolves would want something around the €70 million, £62 million mark for the Spanish international. And as I've said before, Jorge Mendes, I think, represents, with the Gestifew agency, represents Adama Traore. Certainly has his feet well under the table at Wolves. He also was the agent that brought Diogo Jota and Firmino to Liverpool. So, you know, there could be something to this down the line. I also spoke to you before about the fact that Jorge Mendes was known to have tried to get the fee for Adama Traore down a little bit to try and engineer a move for him in the summer transfer window that obviously didn't come to fruition. It remains to be seen if we do anything about it or not, but I can understand why there is a link there, and we do have a good open dialogue as well with Jorge Mendes' agency from the Fabinho and Diogo Jota deals. I don't think there's anything else that I really wanted to talk about. Oh yes, the 50k giveaway. Forgot about that one. That's going to be given away. No, how do I phrase this? The 50k giveaway. The information on how you enter that is going to be coming up in the Everton preview video that I'm recording after this stream. So make sure you've got your notifications turned on. Make sure you're subscribed to Anfield Agenda. Drop a like on this video. But keep an eye out for the Everton preview video, because that is where we're going to be telling you how you can enter our 50k giveaway. We're going to be giving away 3 things. We're going to be giving away any shirt that you want from 3 Retro. We're going to be giving away a £50 Amazon voucher and 4 prints that you'll see in the image when I put it up from Sean Leonard Art as well. 4 prints of Liverpool players. That's all going to go to one lucky winner. We're also going to be giving away 3 copies of Paul Tompkins' book Perched. I did an interview with Paul Tompkins, his first ever video interview, so it really is an Anfield Agenda exclusive. I was working for about a year and a half to get this interview with Paul Tompkins, so that's going to be done. That's recorded, and Connor's editing that as we speak. So we're going to be giving away 3 copies of Paul's book as well, and there's some more giveaways in the line. Don't worry, because we're working our asses off to try and make sure that we can give as much back as we can with companies and other bits and pieces. So look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring this stream to a close. Please do hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. Make sure you keep an eye out for the Everton preview if you want to be able to chance to win the 50k giveaway. We're going to be asking you to do something, which is why you have to watch the video. But look, thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight. If we disagreed on anything, don't worry about it. It is what it is. We're all football fans. We don't always have to agree. But most importantly, I hope that you all stay safe. I hope that your families are well. Thank you for your time as always, and lots of love to each and every one of you. Up to champions. I'll see you guys